Welcome, listeners, to another exciting weekend edition of the Wrestling Goons Radio Around the Square Circle. We have a great episode for you today, for we will be reviewing and debating this week's news and rumors. But first, I want to say thank you to Max Sports Channel for having us and all of our listeners that are listening over there, as well as our listeners on www.wrestlinggoonsradio.blogspot.com. Thank you all for listening to us over there, as well as those that are subscribed and listening to us on iTunes and Stitchers, as well as YouTube. And if you're not listening to us over there, listen, type in the word Wrestling Goons Radio and subscribe. Before we get into our debate and reviews and so on, I want to introduce you to Damien, Anthony. What's going on, guys?
Doing good, Dan. How are you?
Great, great, great.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to get into this. All right. First topic for today is there's a bit of a controversy going on with Dana White. About a week ago, right before the UFC pay-per-view 190, there was a tweet that Dana White refers to wrestling as being fake, and it didn't rub quite a few performers the right way. There was some that kind of came at him, from Seth Rollins to Bubba Ray Dudley and so on. Um, Anthony, what are your thoughts on Dana White saying that wrestling is fake, or just anyone who says that wrestling is fake overall?
Okay, I was brought up in the business, obviously, with my father being a wrestler ever since I was 4. So I've kind of like always been defensive of that word. It always has bothered me. So I can see where the wrestlers are coming from by defending it. That's their profession, that's their livelihood, and they don't appreciate it being derogatory the way that he put it. However, is he right? Yeah, of course it's fake. We all know it is. I just think that there's a better word to use, and it was a low blow, especially with a company that you're potentially doing business with. You know what I mean? It just didn't make a lot of sense to me for him to say that, other than the fact that they were taking shots at the UFC.
Damien, are you okay with the word fake being used in wrestling?
Yes, and it's true. It's fake. It's predetermined. Um, I'm just surprised a lot of people came to the defense. Um, Wrestling is a predetermined sport. The bumps are real, but it's fake. I'm sitting here watching wrestling because I know it's a storyline, not the fact that I don't know the outcome. I know it's a storyline.
Here's the thing. I don't like the word fake in wrestling. It's almost pisses me off, like the N word. I don't like the word, the F word. I don't like the N word or anything like that. And when you say that wrestling is fake, it just pisses me off totally. I'm okay with everyone's like getting pissed off and coming at Dana White's head. The thing is that there are some people who cross over here and there from UFC or WWE to or wrestling to UFC, and it's like you basically are discounting the legitimacy of both the brand and the performers, such as Brock Lesnar. Anthony, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. And for Dana White, if he's gonna sit there and act like they don't take part in professional wrestling, as far as when it comes to selling a match and the build up is 5 or 6 months, when they're cutting those interviews and they have those the weigh-in squabbles or what have you, wrestling has always set the standard for how to sell stuff and how to make stuff build because it is scripted. And I think UFC knows that and they use that to their advantage whenever they're selling their own product. It's just very hypocritical. I agree with you. Like I said, I think the F word, as you call it, it just shouldn't be used. Like, it's a derogatory term, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one of the worst people to use is those that are associated in some ways with WWE, as well as those who are not even wrestling fans, and how, especially, I get a lot of grief, and a lot of wrestling fans can probably agree with me that during the whole WrestleMania season, especially on social media, a lot of people who are not wrestling fans always talk about those who are. How can you watch fake stuff on TV? And it just pisses me off. And I will defend wrestling to the day I die if I have to. I don't know. Damien, any last thoughts on this?
Okay. All the hype videos UFC uses are from wrestling. No one can hype you up better than wrestling. The style that they use is from wrestling. No one can hype. I mean, even some of the submission moves we saw in wrestling before it was UFC. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's predetermined. The bumps are real, but it's predetermined.
I can go back, and if you go back to like the 1920s, when you go back to Big Jack Johnson or what have you, or I forget the first Luthez and all them, that was back when it was real. That was back when they just had who's the toughest guy fighting the toughest guy, and and that got to a point where that didn't make money, that didn't sell because eventually you're gonna have one person that just dominates everybody. That's when they realized, hey, we got to make this entertaining for the people, which is why people watch the WWE the way they do. I get those critics myself, especially in the era of social media. A bunch of my family, they're the worst. They always tell me, "Oh, how do you watch that fake crap?" And my response is always, "You know that movie you watched, that show you watched on Fox, or that theater you just went and spent 25 bucks at? Yeah, it was all fake. Everything in that movie wasn't real. It didn't happen. They're actors, and wrestlers actors too. They're just physical actors, which to me makes them even better as actors. Which, and we're starting to see that because when John Cena, who just did an excellent job in this role in Trainwreck, the Rock is the major star in Hollywood. Stone Cold, I'll just be honest, he's just not versatile enough to be a major actor based off his redneck ways or what have you. He just can't play versatile characters, but it doesn't demean what his acting ability is. Wrestlers, yeah, like Damien said, the promos that UFC does, I mean, I just think that they don't get enough respect at all, wrestlers don't, for what they do.
I totally agree. And in case anyone wanted to know, it's still real to me, dang it.
Yeah, I hope I get an interview with that guy coming up really soon. I'm gonna find him at a local show and I will report back.
Yeah, I want to autograph too. But all right, so guys, this week the Divas team of Paige, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte, they had I guess their team name was the Sorority Submission or whatever. And now WWE is about to change it. I'm not exactly sure what they're changing it to, but it's all linked to the fact that it sounds too porno type. Damien, are you okay with the name change, or you know, did the sorority submission did sound kind of porno-ish?
the okay, sex sells, right? You bring these divas out here and little to nothing, you prance them around the ring, but you don't want us to think about sex. I don't get it. I think if you wanted us to think about their wrestling ability, you would put them on clothes.
Hmm.
Even even in the PG era, you prance them around as sex symbols. So when a name come up, don't say no, 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 that's bad because you did this from the start. You can't go and change history now. That's just my opinion.
With that, that's true in a sense though, but this is the PG era, and we can't have anything linked to it, any sort of pornography or anything like that. When I first heard it, I thought it was like, Oh, this is not going to go over well because it sounds kind of, it's kind of crossing that edge. Anthony, your thoughts on this whole new name change?
All right, I've been known to be one with a gutter mind. That's been kind of a fact. But I'll be honest, it wasn't my first thought. I thought the name when I heard it, I was like, wow, that's really catchy. They're girls and they're bonding together and they're submission wrestlers. They're gonna tap people out. My problem is, I once upon further research, I found quickly that it indeed is a major affiliation with pornography. Um, how does WWE in their management allow this to go by on Raw and SmackDown? They still call them submission sorority, by the way. Which, by the way, I guess they had a problem with it around Wednesday. How does that company allow that to slide through public relations?
I have no clue. Someone needs to be fired. But do you know the new name of their group now?
PCB, which now I expect the city of Panama City, Florida, to sue them for name infringement.
Wow, that is just going to be sued left and right. It's always going to be bad publicity. Um,
I was hoping for Team Tap Out or in the Tap Out trio. I thought that would have been really cool, especially with Charlotte being the cover of the Tap Out girl. But thanks a lot, Dodo Me. You screwed that one up.
yeah, it sounds kind of logical and it makes sense. Damien, any other thoughts on this?
No, not really. Just to piggyback what Anthony said, everyone from marketing should be fired because this got out. Everyone. Because you want to hide China, you want to erase Hogan, and the next week this got out. I don't understand.
But Damien is right to a degree about the fact that WWE doesn't try to hide their sex back. I mean, Paige comes out there, gets on the ring apron, and unzips her jacket. That's no accident. And the loud scream, like, WWE, no. Paige, whenever in the storyline with AJ, was crawling on top of her seductively for the pin. This week I saw Naomi use her butt to squeeze the face of Charlotte in between her thighs, and the crowd popped for it. Like, don't insult my intelligence.
So here's the thing. Hogan is slowly coming back now. Um, yeah. But they can't really hide the fact of what they're trying to do or try to play us like a fool with their whole, oh, we're not trying to be too sexy or anything like that. But yeah, you know what, Anthony, you do have a point there about the whole AJ situation. And another thing, I'd say get rid of that whole finisher that Naomi has. It's just ridiculous anyways.
Well, this one is actually a new one. She actually had her in the turnbuckle, and she puts her legs around her shoulders and literally where her butt is in her face, and uses her leg muscles to literally do crunches with her face, like smacking her butt over and over again. It was really awkward.
Nah, that's ridiculous. All right, since
Well,
we're
yeah,
on the
yeah. Speaking of Hogan, though, I want to go back to that. I do know that his profile was put back on WWE.com and all that, but I also found out today upon further research, Hogan may be facing perjury charges for lying under oath. So WWE may have acted prematurely about putting him back on the website if he goes to jail.
that he doesn't know what they're doing. I don't know, it's just bad all around. It doesn't even really matter because if he gets convicted of perjury or whatever, he'd just be gone for a year. So what? He'll be back in 2016. Who knows?
If Hogan goes to jail for a year, I don't know how they could bring him back.
Come on. A lot of people have done a lot worse things in their lives, and they still have been employed by WWE or been rewarded with the whole Hall of Fame inductee and stuff.
But do they do it when they do it when they're active and they can still make money for the company? Hulk Hogan can't do anything besides being an ambassador anymore. And what is his name worth if he has that scarlet letter around it?
I don't think anybody really cares because he's still Hulk Hogan. That name still has. I mean, like I said before a few weeks ago, his brand might, diminish just a little bit though, but at the end of the day, he's still Hulk Hogan.
Damien, how do you feel about this Hulk Hogan topic before we move on from it?
Okay, uh, even if he does go to jail, I personally, I see no reason to bringing him back. Everybody's saying you can't erase him, you can't do this, you can't do that, but they can make a statement, so no one else does it. And my thing is just like what Roger Goodell did to Tom Brady, you have to stick with it. I don't see no other way because you bring them back, Al and Jesse will be there.
Well, why would they put his profile back on WWE.com? Like, why would they do that if they didn't have intention of doing that? I mean, was it simply because of Curtis Axel? Because they don't have anything for him?
I think I think you can do that, but I don't believe you bring him back.
No, I don't either. I agree with you
I
completely.
don't I don't you bring him back and all the racism you was trying to quiet will erupt in your face.
If you can bring him back, you can bring Chris Benoit back to the Hall of Fame.
All right, no, that does not reflect wrestling in radio.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will forever lobby to get Chris Benoit into the Hall of Fame.
And I
This
will not refer to him as Chris Benoit. So,
I mean, there was some other guys in the that's in the Hall of Fame that had killed someone in their day. So I mean, I don't know.
yeah, but they kind of did it out of self-defense.
And then there are some who were accused of it or part of the investigation of certain deaths, such as Jimmy Snuka.
he got hit with a coconut too.
Yeah, it's a little different when you're accused of and found guilty of.
Scott Hall killed some guy like 30 years ago.
Self defense. He was in a bar and he was being threatened for his life with a bouncer.
Well, what's the bouncer side of the story?
Oh, he was the bouncer. Scott Hall was the bouncer.
Oh, well, what's the other guy who's dead side of the story?
You don't know, because he's dead, man.
I don't know, man. I think it's just conspiracy going on here. But that's another time for another show. Um, in case you all didn't know, Charlotte has been going around saying that she wants to main event a WrestleMania, not necessarily this upcoming WrestleMania, but a future WrestleMania, and she feels that a diva or woman deserves to main event. Anthony, does she get a point? Does she really? Do you see her main eventing WrestleMania or any woman main eventing WrestleMania?
Uh, I see why she said it. You gotta, right now, the Demons division is reaching for a level they've never been, so I get it. Do I see them main event in WrestleMania? Yeah, no, not ever. Um, and it's not the fact that I mean, if Ronda Rousey and Charlotte could have a one-on-one match, I could see it main event WrestleMania. But uh, outside of that, outside of it being like Ronda Rousey, no, there's no way.
Um, like I said before we started the show, like, hey, it could be. She got a good point there, but I don't see it happening. If it does happen, it might be a low-rated WrestleMania, and then they might say, you know what, we may never do a woman's main event at WrestleMania, but we can at least say we tried and it just failed. Um, the way to get her there would be kind of difficult because with what everything how it's set up now to main event WrestleMania, you more than likely have to win the Royal Rumble. Well, then again, you don't have to win a Royal Rumble just to main event WrestleMania. But I don't see that happening or anything. And Ronda Rousey versus anyone would be a disadvantage.
Well, what is Charlotte's whole gimmick? It's about her being genetically superior, right? Well, she can turtle and go heel and play the Ric Flair thing and out of nowhere, uh, Ronda Rousey come up and be like, I know you say you're genetically superior, but I'm here to say that you're not. That'd be the way to tell the story.
Okay, so with that, all right, Damien, let me ask you this. Let's say Charlotte does main event WrestleMania. Does she fight a man for the title or not? And do you even agree with her being in the main event?
No woman will ever fight a man in the ring again. Um, her main event in it? No, 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 no. There's no way that women will outbuy the guys. So the point of them trying to push a diva's main event is no point. Even with Ronda Rousey.
I will say that 6 months before Ronda Rousey had her first UFC headline event, Dana White is on record of saying that women will never headline UFC. So I feel like we should never say never.
Okay, that's true, but I don't see it. You have to have a big woman attraction besides Ronda. It has to be two, not one,
I don't
because
think it's gonna happen.
it's unbelievable for Ronda to go into wrestling and take longer than 30 seconds to beat somebody.
But it's wrestling. That's why if I were in the WWE,
No, 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 no. We saw her tap out somebody in 15 seconds. That's wrestling.
true. But what I'm saying is, in the world of professional wrestling, Charlotte could be the heel leading up to this with the whole genetically superior thing, right? When the match starts, she ain't gonna call in her NXT divas and the rest of the locker room. Ronda Rousey's gonna have to fight every diva that they have, so it's not gonna be a fair fight.
All right, so here's the thing. I don't see Charlotte main eventing a WrestleMania. I see more so Ronda Rousey doing it if she, make that jump. Because to me, the only way I can see this possibly happening if a female fights another male, and Ronda Rousey probably is the only one who could probably go toe to toe with another guy for the title at that. Not just your Divas title, but for the WWE World Heavyweight
No,
Champion.
no, no, no. You're suggesting that Ronda Rousey one day is gonna win the WWE World Heavyweight title?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the only legitimate way I could see a woman being in that main event. I didn't say they had to win it.
I wouldn't even have her in that match, and then that means she loses.
It's still best. I mean, it still could be good for business because of the fact that a woman is headlining WrestleMania with whoever, and even if she loses, it's still good. She still got collects her paycheck. The ratings still go up. A whole new female movement is happening, and all that other stuff.
I don't think so. I think it hurts her brand if she takes a loss like that.
I don't think she. Okay, here's the thing. It's not going to hurt her brand if she takes a loss in WWE. It might hurt her brand or hurt herself if she took the loss in UFC.
No, that would destroy her brand.
Exactly. So this is how it is. Since people want to say wrestling's quote unquote the F word, I mean it's really not going to hurt her. She takes the loss. It's like whatever. It was all scripted anyway. But we all know that she can really win in a real fight. But the whole buzz of it, of her fighting another guy, whoever it may be, it could be I don't see her fighting a John Cena, but it could be a Seth Rollins, it could be a Dean Ambrose, it could be somebody who's crazy enough to step in the ring with her in whatever stipulation and go against her, and they could probably put up a good 20-minute match.
WWE is so conservative that you're not gonna see men and women. Like you saw her hip toss Triple H. That's a hip toss. That isn't a man hitting a woman. You're just not gonna see that anymore. Like the days of Bubba Ray putting Mae Young through a table are over.
So pretty much Charlotte can just kiss her dream of main eventing WrestleMania away.
Well, like I said, if they do the whole entire locker room versus Ronda, Charlotte would be part of the main event. Somehow she'd be part of it. So
So you rather have a Divas title match at the end of the WrestleMania card over a main title match?
Wouldn't have to be a title match at all. It can just be Ronda Rousey in the show because people want to see her in the WWE ring that bad. You use Ric Flair's daughter to hype it up as being the leader, quote unquote, but then she had their whole four horsemen women behind her. You can even have Ronda Rousey bring her version of her four horsemen in if you wanted. I mean, it could, yeah, that would be a good story, and I would watch it and buy it as the main event.
I'm sorry, but it's just not gonna happen. I don't see a woman at the end of the WrestleMania card main eventing it, especially if it's not for a title too.
Ronda Rousey was the biggest moment at WrestleMania out of everything they had this past year. Vince McMahon realizes that.
She was one of them. She was one of them. She
Oh no
wasn't a
no no
big
no
one.
no! That was the biggest. There's no doubt. Damien, do you think there was anything bigger than Ronda Rousey
At WrestleMania,
at
mm,
WrestleMania? Yes.
Seth Rollins.
Oh, I see. The crowd didn't have long enough to react to Seth Rollins.
That was that moment to end the show, and the RKO. He, he was the star of the show.
Okay. What?
He was the star of the show. And I don't care what Ronda said. That little bitty hip toss. Seth Rollins put on two good matches.
I have to agree. Even inserting my boy, staying in a Triple H, even though I hated the ending with a passion, that was pretty decent. I'm not saying that that Ronda Rousey segment or whatever was horrible. It was just one of the best moments of that uh card on that card, and it got us talking like, what if Ronda Rousey stepped foot in the WWE ring? That's all it took was her being in there for like 2 3 minutes, and now we wondering, well, what if?
And allow me to backtrack for just 1 second how we started the show with Dana White. Um, him making those comments about WWE and all the WWE wrestlers responding, that does nothing really but open up future quote unquote beef that you can perhaps tell in a storyline.
Yeah, it could be a cross promotion or something. I don't know. I don't know if Vince is willing to take that risk though. Any final thoughts on this particular subject?
No, like I said, I think we all agree Charlotte is wrong, but I also think why she said it. So I don't blame her for saying it. If you're gonna hype the product, hype it, reach for the stars.
Damien, any final thoughts?
No, we all agree on this.
All right. All right. So since we're, talking about the divas once more, there's another particular diva. This time, the WWE is kind of behind her on this one. They want to push Eva Marie. And I know everyone hates Eva Marie, and everyone that doesn't hate Eva Marie, they're going to be like, well, at least she gotten better. She's gotten better. No, they don't need to push Eva Marie at all. Anthony, do they need to push Eva Marie, in your opinion?
I see why they're doing it because in their mind they're taking this girl that didn't know jack squat and went away for a while and learned things and um she's supposed to be the comeback story or what have you. Problem is, like you said, that nobody likes Eva Marie and she's not really getting over with the NXT crowd yet in her two matches. Like, and they're not bad. They don't stand out. It's gonna backfire. Like they're gonna have to make a new plan. This was Lana before that, and that obviously lasted all of 2 months. And they don't know what they want to do. We're probably gonna be stuck with Nikki Bella forever.
Yeah, unfortunately. Damien, are you okay with the WWE pushing Eva Marie? Could we possibly see her main eventing? No, I'm not going to say main event. Could we possibly see her at WrestleMania winning the title?
No, there's no way that she wins the title at WrestleMania. Um, I say it's going to be one of the new NXT girls. I say if Charlotte gets it by Survivor Series, then either Becky or Sasha get it at WrestleMania.
Well, at WrestleMania, they've already released the skins for the promotion, and spoiler alert, Nikki Bella is all over it on the production trucks.
But
That
here's my
sucks.
here's my thing with Eva Marie is that if you watch Total Diva, you can see that she's pretty much is being groomed to get that push and be that top lady in the Divas division, and it just makes me sick. Because there's like a few other people who deserve to get a push who hasn't really properly got a push, such as Naomi and uh, Natty and so on. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe it's time to see some new faces or whatever. I don't know. But Eva Marie is the wrong person for this, and WWE is just wrong for it though. But Anthony, I don't know if you see Total Divas or not, but does it comes off as they pretty much are setting her up or grooming her to be a star?
I don't watch Total Divas, but I do know the ins and outs of her character on it. She was found by Kevin Dunn for the Divas talent search. She's a model. That's what she is. She wasn't a wrestler. Um, I think that I also read that they're grooming her to win the Divas title at WrestleMania. I did read that. I just can't see it going over. And I want her to succeed. I'm not one of those that are like, oh, no matter what you do, I hope you fail. Like that's not me. Like I hope kudos to her if she can work her butt off and become a wrestler. And more power to you. The Bellas did that, and I'll be the first to say that Nikki Bella's title reign might be too long, but she's a true heel diva, and I like that about her character. I just can't see Eva Marie being a main eventer. Because, like you said, these NXT girls and the people that they're bringing in, they're just so much more talented in the ring.
So now there you hear it, folks. Eva Marie is a Kevin Dunn girl. That's messed up. Now we hate her even more. Um, yeah, Damien, any last thoughts on this?
No, no. My daughters watch Total Divas, so I catch parts, but it seems like no one likes her. Even the locker room knows she's getting a push. And at some point, you got to get along with the person you're wrestling against. You can't get there without other people. Your
I,
opponent needs to be just as good as you.
I will say that if that's the case, that Paige hasn't really done a good job of making friends on Total Divas.
True. All right, so here's the thing with Eva Marie. One last thing is that the rumor is that they pushing her because at first they was gonna have Lana get a push or whatever, but they kind of like, I guess, said, this wasn't a good idea. Let's push this lady, Eva Marie, and get some of the Hispanic viewers or whatever. Anthony, how do you feel about that?
I mean, like I said, I get it, but there's a girl over in Lucha Underground that they had at FCW, Eva Lise, who wrestles men all the time and does Hurricane Ranas off the top rope, diving Hurricane Ranas. Like, she's legit, and if you really wanted to push a Latina woman that was hot, that knew what she was doing, that's what you would do. Like I said, I get it. It's reaching out to a demographic, and I don't know why they would pick Latina all of a sudden, because Lana certainly wasn't. Um, whatever.
If they wanted a Latina, they had one. They made her retire. So to say you want the Latin viewer, you had the one of the best Latin Latina wrestlers. So if AJ was here, you could have pushed her, but you're trying to erase her. I don't get it.
On top of what Anthony was saying, I don't understand how they marketed her as a Russian, and then now you want to probably try to market her as being Hispanic or Latino. That's just weird to me. So I don't know what they're doing, but it's whatever. Anthony, any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't think they were planning on making Lana the Latino. I just think they decided, well, Lana didn't work, so why don't we reach a different demographic? I think it's weird that they picked a Latino when they don't have Latinos.
Yeah. And by the way, before we move on, if you're not watching Lucha Underground, please watch it. It is the most interesting show right now.
Se-
Like,
Season one is over, but they might be getting a season two deal. We'll keep you posted on that. Go
I
back and
hope
watch
so.
season one, though. Definitely worth watching.
Definitely, definitely. All right, next topic is the heel topic of where we come to realize since this past week of how heelish Seth Rollins is becoming now from the early days when he first started off. And we were just thinking like, are there any heels today? Because there's only like maybe one or two top heels or main heels on WWE. Damien, what do you think?
I think there's one that does that's a complete heel, and that's Seth Rollins. I don't see no one else winning with outside interference. No one else is willing to break Edge's neck. No one else is willing to go that extra mile to be a heel. I see Seth Rollins, and then I see other people as anti-face, not heel.
Yeah, I see that too. Anthony, your thoughts on the heel? Is there any heels left? And if so, who's a good heel?
I agree that Seth Rollins is a heel. Ethan Carter the third is a good heel over in TNA. But I will agree that we don't have heels in wrestling anymore, and it's not. Um, I'm not gonna say that they don't have outside interference, because we all know my most dreaded finish in wrestling is the theme music hitting and somebody standing on the apron, and that's enough for the wrestler to go stupid and get pinned. That's how Tony ends matches the botch way for them. Back in the day, though, Ric Flair would do the uppercut to the groin region when the referee wasn't looking. It doesn't take much, and like people are under the impression that I gotta be stronger than my opponent. I gotta look stronger. You're a heel, and you should be taking the low road. That's what heels do. You should be like the guy that's about to be screwed over, and then the eye poke right at the last second. Roddy Piper, rest in peace. He was a true heel. He did things the heel way. Uh, People, I wish these wrestlers today that were quote unquote heel would go back on the WWE Network and watch more of this 80s stuff and the 70s stuff when wrestlers didn't have social media to get themselves over or 40,000 people packing an arena everywhere they go. They had to work their butts off to stay in their character, and I just don't think they try hard at their craft anymore as much as just getting their persona over.
All right, so here's the thing. The whole wrestling business has evolved tremendously over the past maybe 25, 30 years. It's becoming now that the heel, instead of being the most hated, it's like they becoming like likable in a way. It's like if you beat up Cena or injure him or something, we love you for that. That was a heel move, but we love you for that. And we got Kevin Owens, who's a heel, and people love him. They just love him. I don't know why.
They do, but I will say this: he has tendencies of being a heel to where we can love him, but when he ruins a good part of a match that we're enjoying, that part of me goes, "Oh my God, you punk!" Like, wow, you jerk.
O-
That's hellish.
Okay. But look at this. Kevin Owens had numerous of chances in those 50 false finishes with Cena to pull the tights, put his legs on between the rope on the ropes for a leverage pin, something.
Yeah, there's
He
no eye,
didn't do it.
yeah, there's no eye gouges or anything. I agree.
He didn't do none of that. Kevin Owens, I mean, I understand he he's the new guy in WWE and all that, but he would have got real heat if he'd have, even if he'd have tried to beat Cena. I'm not gonna say if he'd have beat Cena with those dirty ways. If he'd have tried it,
When he debuted in WWE, like when he turned on Sami Zayn and hit him with that power bomb after Sami won the belt,
that
that
was heel.
yeah, that's instant heat. But when you have that, you gotta build on it. You can't just say, "All right, that's my moment, and now I'm bad. Everybody knows I'm bad." Like you gotta add stuff to it every single week.
Yeah. So here's a question to each of you. In the past 20 years, who probably was the most dirtiest heel or the most hated heels? Probably just give me like three names in the last 20 years. Damien, I'm gonna start with you first.
20 years.
Yeah, the past 20 years.
Hall, Nash, and Hogan.
Oh wow. The NWO.
You
And
Why
say
you
that's
say
20 years.
yeah, it was 20 years ago. That's what I'm saying. Wow.
well,
I'll go a step further. I can do a little better than that. Vince McMahon has to be one. He's always one. Um, Edge doesn't get enough credit for his heel run because
Edge,
Edge was a
Edge.
true heel, and he was great at being a heel. And you know what? John Cena is as heel as they get, and God, we hate him every single week, and he rubs it down our throats. Like he knows we hate us, and he lets us know that we hate him. So to me, John Cena is a heel.
I like that. I like what you that point you made about John Cena. It gets me to think about that. John Cena may be the white version of New Day. I'm just saying, he could be the white version of New Day.
Maybe that's how they turn him heel.
The people say he suck, and he just comes up and just say, "Hey, I'm this and that, and I don't suck, and I'm the champ, and I've done this."
I
He
mean,
sucked.
he's already directing us while we're singing the song. Like he knows we're singing it.
Yeah. So again, there is some sort of parallel or correlation to New Day and John Cena. But
Yeah,
my
I want.
three heels.
Yeah, let me go back to that point you made 1 second about how we like the heels of today's age and we don't really care for the faces. I think John Cena is prime example of that. Cause yeah, we can't stand him.
Yeah. Some of my top three heels in the past 20 years that were just hated. Hogan is one of them. Um, I gotta go with Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
But they weren't heels.
I mean, they did some heelish things.
Shawn Michaels and Triple, you could call them heels, but to the WWE fan, they were face because they were going after WCW.
I see. I'm gonna disagree because I'm gonna say that around 2005 to 2008,
Okay,
When Triple H was Evolution Triple H, that was
okay.
heel Triple H.
Yeah. And I could throw in probably Randy Orton because that whole angle of being the legend killer was super heel.
The Angel of Orton.
Yeah. Probably at his best. Yeah. So basically now heels are cool to root for, and John Cena's a New Day member who's not really a New Day member.
So let me ask you this, and I'll go with Damien first before we move on. Do you think we should get back to how heels used to be, or is it cool that we share heels now?
It has to get back. I,
I
I,
don't know.
I, I, it's the reason why I say it has to get back because it hurts heels. Now, losing 2 out of 3 times or 3 out of 4 times if it's Russo to Cena, he never had his heelish moment. Lana never gave him the foreign object. He had an I Quit match where he could have beat Cena with anything. I'm saying, and then it hurt Rusev because they didn't make that heel.
Here's why I agree with you, Damien. Because they're running out of ways to tell stories if we don't differentiate what a heel does and what a babyface does.
Also, what was this? Barry Windham. When Barry Windham went to the Horsemen, I think he turned on Dusty. I'm not. It's foggy because it was about 30 years ago.
Yeah, it was Dusty.
The heat he got for doing that was awesome. You know what I'm saying? It was awesome. When did Brock Lesnar become face?
Suplex City.
He was not face going into WrestleMania. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. No, he wasn't. He became face the night he attacked the Authority. That's all it took.
And that's
Yeah.
a face move? What he did is a face move.
Yeah, he put an announcer in a hospital and that made him a babyface.
Exactly what I'm saying. That's a heel move.
Yeah.
Faces
Um,
don't get suspended.
they don't.
Yeah, I think we all agree, and I think this we hit the point in this segment that the lines are extremely blurred.
True. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No, this was a great segment. We'll definitely have to get more in depth on this in future shows for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, next up, we get a rumor that WWE is rumored to be talks with Destination America. Yes, that channel who pretty much hosts Ring of Honor and TNA to have a couple of their shows on their channel, such as Main Event and Superstars. Really, I mean, we do know that TNA is on its last leg, and they're rumored to still be gone. I think by the end of the month, I believe. But you still have Ring of Honor there, and it's like, why do you need to put Main Event or Superstars on that show when you have your own network?
Uh,
Anthony, your thought?
Allow me to elaborate. This all started with Samoa Joe. Whenever he decided he wanted to keep his Ring of Honor dates and work them. That's when the rift between WWE and Ring of Honor first started. Then WWE announced that they were going to have their NXT Takeover show the night before SummerSlam in Brooklyn. Ring of Honor decided they want to run a show in Brooklyn the same night. WWE is tired of Ring of Honor trying to one up them, and that's why you keep having the the impact matches and the false finishes and the apron spots, and you got a double. We might have a double champion at the end of the pay-per-view. That's the Ring of Honor thing. WWE's doing everything they can do to stick it to Ring of Honor right now. And by the way, Ring of Honor has 60% off Tyler Black DVDs this week, so they're trying to make money off WWE superstars too. Um, it's gonna get ugly, man. I don't like it because I feel like WWE needs to leave well enough alone. Wrestling needs other promotions to watch. Destination America needs to be the other channel for other wrestling. And if WWE gets on that network, it's gonna pretty much kill every other promotion, including GFW, who I was hoping took TNA's spot on that time slot.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. WWE really don't need this. They're just being petty right now. And Destination America, shame on you for even entertaining these talks. because you have one too many promotions on your channel as it is.
Okay, but
So
if you're Destination American, WWE hands you a check that's 500 times fatter than them, you can't blame them as a company for taking that offer.
yeah, that's true though. But I mean, ethically, it's like, yeah, you know what? We already got two promotions on here, so it's like,
What did Eric Bischoff tell you about ethics in wrestling, sir?
what is it?
There are no ethics
There
in
are
wrestling.
none.
There are
Yeah.
none.
Okay. Damien, your thoughts on this?
Well, they got to put on some good matches in main event or superstars to even compete with the other wrestling. My thought.
Ring of Honor can't put out Raw now.
They can't. They can't even do Raw. So why you want to do these little shows? Your best hour is on your network. If you wanted to stick it to other wrestlings, put NXT on there. That's my thinking. Other than that, nobody's worried about superstars or main event.
I don't think they're worried about it, but I think the fact that these people know who they are, they're gonna watch that over watching TNA or Ring of Honor because they don't know those guys. They know the WWE guys. They know the product of WWE, so they're gonna be like, "Well, that's WWE. I gotta watch that."
And the thing is
That's
too,
going to suck.
there's
You're going to
rumors
be a. I'm sorry.
there's rumors too that WWE is well, SmackDown's supposed to be moving, I think, next year to USA. So maybe they're just trying to weigh their options with their other shows and other channels that could probably take on some of their shows. But main event superstars, they're one and the same. I mean, no one's really gonna watch it.
I will say at one point when they had main event on Wednesday nights on Pack TV, at one point it was the best hour of TV for me before NXT was around because that was the only show where they had just wrestling matches. It was just wrestling. It felt like watching WCW Saturday night. So if they got back to having one or two big matches a week on that that just didn't have anything to do with storyline, I could watch that and be cool with it.
Main event at first was good until it seemed like we was getting Sheamus and Bad News or Wade Barrett at the time. Matches every week it seemed. I don't know.
That was the place where Cesaro really made a name for himself in the WWE ring with main event.
Yeah. Damien, so you just want to completely get rid of the whole main event and superstar show?
It's a place for him if Adam Rose is going to fight Bo Dallas, but
Yeah.
I don't see why would I don't see the importance of this little show when you have 3 hours that you can't keep ratings on the big network. That's my thing. You got to
True.
get ratings on the big network before you try selling the small shows. Because ratings is about to go down next month.
Absolutely. Anthony, final thoughts on this?
You know, like I said, I know why WWE is doing it, just being petty. I agree with you, but Vince has always done this. When Vince feels challenged or threatened, he just moves in and finds a way to take out the territory or what have you, and that's just how Vince does business. So it doesn't surprise me. Absolutely not. I hope it doesn't happen because I want wrestling to live in many forms, and Vince will try to kill it if it doesn't. So,
Shame on him if he does. Moving on to the next topic, we got a curious question we want to ask is that whenever a superstar is injured, how long should it be until they drop the title? Anthony, I'm gonna start with you. Daniel Bryan's been injured. He won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Maybe a month or two later, he had to drop it. Currently, right now, Ryback is hurt. Supposedly be at SummerSlam. Cena's hurt too. Supposed to be at SummerSlam as well. A lot of injuries. A lot of people who are injured hold the title. When should it be time for a person to say, "Hey, I need to drop this title right now"?
I want to go ahead and add that Sheamus as well has been taking out the Australian tour, and he holds the Money in the Bank briefcase. Um, yeah, I I see why they take the titles off of people like Daniel Bryan just because, well, let's be honest, they didn't want him to have it in the first place. The second time they just, the concussion thing, it is what it is. I do hear that Ryback will be competing at SummerSlam. That's what I have to say about that. Um, but I wish they were more consistent with it. I really do, because it's insulting to my intelligence. I'm glad that Miz brings it up in his promos. Like, he makes sure to remind us that Daniel Bryan got stripped, why is Ryback not? So that's good. But doesn't it kind of make Miz, like, make him want to go, you know what, you're right, rather than boo him?
Absolutely. I feel like if you can get away with having a title and you're injured and you can't defend it on one pay-per-view, but if you can't defend it on two pay-per-views, then you need to drop the title.
I can
Um,
remember watching NWA with Ric Flair whenever he had his neck injury or what have you. And that was the whole thing. The NWA guy was at his house, and they were like, Rick, if you can't defend this title in 30 days, then we're going to have to take it from you.
yeah. Damien, your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Damien, you're there?
We'll have to get back. Might have lost him there.
Yeah. Did you have any final thoughts on this dropping the title due to injury, Anthony?
Yeah, I just hope that they just get more consistent with it. Like, I mean, just, try to find a way to, if somebody is hurt that long, then they got to lose him. Maybe they win it back the next month and you just have a filler guy holding the belt. It wouldn't hurt somebody to be the champion for a month. I mean, you can just say, wow, they were only 1 month champion, but they can put it on their resume.
Yeah. I agree with you too about the whole NWA thing rule back in the days. But like I said, two pay-per-views, you can't defend it, you gotta go. Moving on to the next one, our last topic is very interesting. We are wondering, could Kevin Owens and Cesaro steal the show at SummerSlam? Because basically, this is one of the biggest hype going into SummerSlam, with Cesaro's getting the crowd behind him. Kevin Owens is pretty much still hated in a way, but he's playing his role as a good heel. Um, Anthony, what do you think? Could they both steal the show?
Well, I have been hyping for weeks on this that I want them to have an Iron Man match at SummerSlam, and I have heard that that is what indeed they are planning on leading up to. That's going to be one of the 4 hours is Owens and Cesaro. And if they do that, you're damn right they're going to steal the show. There's nobody going to be able to touch that.
Damien, what do you think?
of course. They're gonna steal the show regardless. I think they have the most to prove on the card, and I don't think management knows what they have in those two because they're about to make the two main events a snoozer. Because once they get on, you can't top them.
Yeah, these two guys are talented, and I see a 30-minute match maybe of just nonstop blowing our minds on every spot.
So,
That's just me.
so you don't see an Iron Man an hour long.
No, because it's like would be very really ridiculous if you add an hour just so you can fit in an Iron Man match, and then it's like at the end you don't get nothing. There's no reward at the end.
No, I think that, but I think you do, because I think that leads to a number one contender. I think you have to.
I mean, I'd rather have John Cena and Seth Rollins in an Iron Man match than this because at least we know what the rewards are.
John Cena knows cannot take an hour match.
You know
True.
what? If John Cena's just there, I'm gonna have to give him props. Like if he's able to wrestle this match, we all saw his nose. I know that you can wrestle with the mask on, blah blah blah. That nose was messed up, dude. And in a matter of 3 weeks, he's gonna go do it again. That's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts overall today?
Yeah, I like the heel topic, man. That's gonna be, I want, hopefully somebody in wrestling to hear us, because, we're very passionate about, needing to see more heelish things. Don't just tell me that somebody is a bad guy. Like, let them do bad guy things. And by bad guy things, I don't mean just insulting their opponent. That doesn't make a heel.
Yeah. Damien, your final thoughts for today?
Um, just the heel thing, just what Anthony said.
Yeah. Me personally, the heel, I think it's kind of cool that we can cheer on the heel. Of course, like I said before, the heels aren't how they used to be 20, 30 years ago, but it's all good. Um, and also that we probably won't ever see a woman wrestle main event at WrestleMania unless her name is Ronda Rousey.
But I don't blame Charlotte for saying it, though, because she's, it's wrestling. You gotta hype yourself to the fullest extent.
Oh yeah, definitely. She got our attention about this. Like, could it be possible? All right, this is going to end our show today. We want to thank you all for listening in. We want to thank Max Sports Channel for having us and all our listeners over there, as well as our listeners over at WrestlingGoonsRadio.blogspot.com. Also, our listeners, subscribers over at iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. If you are not a subscriber over there, subscribe to us. Type in Wrestling Goons Radio. Click on that tab on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, Wrestling Goons Radio. We want to thank Phil Nason for producing this show. Thank you very much for this. For Damien, for Anthony, and for myself, Dan, we'll see you when we'll see you.